Hello, viewers. Today we are joined by a clinical hypnotherapist who is one of the most prominent leaders in the area of coaching and consulting in Pakistan and who has great stakes in Sweden as well. So, during our conversation, we will ask about his Swedish connection also. Mr. Mqbool Babri, and more commonly known as Max Babri, is the CEO of a company called the Consultants, which deals with management and business consulting, training, team building, strategic planning, life skills coaching, and counseling. In today's session with him, we are going to start with very basic questions like purpose of life, significance of conscious mind, and we will go all the way to talk about what is success and happiness in life. So, Max Babri Sahib, a very, very warm welcome to this session today, and many thanks for giving me and my viewers the opportunity of learning from you.
Thank you
So,
very much, Dr. Mohammed Shahid. Thank you very much for inviting me to your show. Thank you very much for being there in Sweden, in Gothenburg, and talking to somebody in Lahore, Pakistan. But be mindful that I'm also coming to Sweden next Sunday, late evening. I would have landed at Stockholm Airport, inshallah, and from there on to Umeå. Yeah. So your question is, what is the purpose of life?
yeah, so we will take questions very soon.
Okay.
I was mainly welcoming you and introducing about the session of today. So let's start from the very first question: that why we are on Earth? Why are we here? What is
Okay.
the life?
All right. First of all, not you, not me. We are certainly not the agent of the creator, but we can only make our own assumptions. And of course, our own assumptions keep changing as we grow and become more mature. We begin to reflect and think what could be the meaning and purpose of life. So right now, the stage that I am in, I am almost 70 years of age, and I will become 70 on the 14th of August, which is also the Pakistan National Day, which is the day Pakistan was created. So for me today, as going to become 70 soon, purpose of life is to be a source of happiness and joy for other fellow human beings, and in the process also feel happy about who I am and who we are, and make things easier for other people, remove all the cumbersome things that are there, remove irritations and botherations, help people to enjoy life, give offer a shoulder to them so they can put their head on your shoulder and cry, share their grief and sorrows, and then receive appreciation, admiration, love, attention, and positivity, and generally a positive aura from you. So, and while you do that, you all this would be reflected, and you will also feel great about yourself because you will feel that you are fulfilling the purpose of life, and that will also give you an internal glow and an internal joy, and you would be able to have a more positive demeanor towards life. That's my perception today about meaning and purpose in life.
Awesome. I very much agree with that. So if that
thank,
is purpose of
thank you,
life,
Dr. Sai. Ji.
yeah, my pleasure. So if that is purpose of life, then what is success?
Success is very interesting. Okay, there are many notions of success, and let's explore some of these notions. People would think that providing and giving a great quality of life to your family is success, which certainly is. But in the process, how do you provide this abundance could be a little complicated. But certainly improving quality of life, and it fits in the first purpose of life. The purpose of life is to bring happiness and joy for people. So if you are helping your family and your relatives and people around you get an improved quality of life, and if it's in terms of kind of financials, that's okay because you are doing that, but how you do it is also important. So for me, and then of course, you have a comfortable car, you have a comfortable house, you have enough money to go on a vacation with your family, and since you live in Sweden, you don't need to worry about schooling and university of children or medical care, which we also are concerned here in Pakistan, and that's a substantial cost. But really, one day we will die, and it's good to accept that we will die, because some of us have become so afraid of dying that we can't live the life that we have been blessed with. So, and because we are always thinking what will happen when I die, nothing will happen, we will just pass away. What will happen would actually, if we have invested in people, and if we have loved the people, and if we have created happiness and joy for people, they will miss us, and they will be sad, and they will feel that, okay, we have lost a fellow human being who was a source of happiness and joy. So other more than that, nothing will happen. And of course we want to pray to the creator and to the nature that whenever my number comes up, I go gladly, and I can walk on my own feet, and I can not be dependent. I'm not dependent on anybody, and I'm not making other people's life miserable that they have to carry me to the washroom or do this and that. So hopefully we can pray that whenever it's our time is up, we go smiling, and we go happy, and we go, like they say in the army, with boots on. So,
Hmm.
anyways, going back, what happiness is. For me, happiness is that we think of, let's say, 4 or 5 important persons in our life. So everybody, all the audience, and Shahid, you also, do forgive me, you are Dr. Muhammad Shahid, but I will use Shahid, and you can call me Max. Mqbool Babri is my name otherwise. So thank
That's
you for
good.
putting that name up. But anyways, so for me, I would say that think about these 5 people. And I assume that none of these people are actually connected to your workplace. All of them are your relatives. And apparently, I think their spouse, their kids, in that order, their parents, and maybe their siblings. So these are the 5 most important people. Now, if all these 5 people, they respect you, and they love you, and they can say whatever they want to say to you, you're successful.
Hmm.
But if they're afraid of you, if they fear you, if they feel that you will offload your frustration and anger and make them feel bad, then of course we are not successful, irrespective of what the size of the car or the size of the house and the extent of the vacation or whatever we have achieved. If we, like I said, these are the 5 most important people. So the success must be our capacity to make these 5 most important people happy and earn love and earn respect. Okay, love and respect is not automatic. Just because I'm father of, let's say, kids, then just because I'm father, they should not respect me. They should respect me because I'm a respectable person. And if I'm a respectable person, I treat everybody with respect. I treat everybody with deference. I treat everybody as fellow human beings. I'm sensitive to their feelings. I'm sensitive to their emotions. I'm sensitive that how they will feel if I say a few words, and so on and so forth. If they get upset and angry, I must have the capacity to go back and say sorry, because purpose of my communication was with them was actually to make them happy and not make them upset. But I'm a human being, and sometime I could lose it. And when you lose it, you say things. But if you become aware of it, you go back, hug the person, say sorry, ask for forgiveness genuinely. So they will then, I'm sure, if people who are in this position, they will begin to respect you and love you. And when they respect you and love you, they are also able to say whatever they want to say to you, rather than only say things that you want to hear. जिसको उर्दू पंजाबी जैसे कहते हैं मक्खन लगाना, ठीक है, देन दे आर ओनली मक्खन लगा रहे हैं, पापा को खुश रखना है, पापा को ये बताना नहीं है कि पापा आप यू कैन बी बेटर father, or you can be better mother if you maintain your hygiene, or if you do something, because we are blind to personal hygiene, for example.
Wonderful. I really like that. We often associate our happiness with some targets, with some goals. So it's pretty much like going towards a certain destination, and we think that we will only become happy if we reach there. But what is the significance of the journey itself? in your eyes?
Acha, man, I was answering to a question which I thought you were asking me was what is success? So
Yeah,
whatever I
that is
said
good.
up to now was about success. So I can also
Yeah.
talk about happiness. Now,
Mhm.
happiness is, in my opinion, again speculating, I with all humility, happiness is that your job, your workplace, and your hobby and things that you want to do in life, the things that you want to do in life, you do those things and that becomes your profession.
Mhm.
And that is a source of happiness because every morning you want to do it. So you go gladly, happily go to work, actually go to work before the work starts because that's what you want to do. Like for a cricket player, the happiness is to be able to play cricket matches or to go and practice. So similarly, our work, whatever work we do, for example, I'm a counselor and a therapist, and I have immense gratification when my co-counselors, I don't call them patients or I don't call them clients, I call them co-counselor. Because in a counseling situation, Shahid, there are only two people, me and let's assume that you and I, we are doing counseling together. So if you are somebody who's come to me for counseling, and which means that and I'm going to provide you guidance or show you pathways and show you explore ideas together. So I'm your counselor and you are a counselee, but you are a co-counselor because there's only one person who's an expert of who Dr. Muhammad Shahid is, and that's you. So I cannot guide you what to do. You will tell me how you see the world, why you are happy or unhappy, or why is it that you want to change something and that change is not coming about. So you will tell me and I will tell you, all right, if I was going through this, Shahid, I would also look at these options, which sometime a co-counselor is not very open and maybe is blind to. There are always blind spots. So I would say, all right, Shahid, have you tried looking at it this way? Maybe you have assigned wrong meanings. Maybe when your father or somebody said that you never be successful if you keep doing like this, maybe he was frustrated. It doesn't mean that you are not capable enough. And that was his frustration. So his frustration was offloading. He was not describing who you are because you are one of the finest expression of the greatest creator in my religion, which is Islam, and in almost all other religions, human being is the finest expression of the creator. And if that's who we are, how come a person who comes and says to me that you're not good enough? But I am good enough. I am successful already because I have been created. There were, okay, on a little biological side of it, there were millions of sperms that were released in my mother's vagina, and they were fighting with each other to impregnate my mother's egg. And I succeeded. So I was the fastest, brightest, and the most intelligent among those millions of sperms. So I'm already successful. That's why I've been created. That's why I'm born. All the other ones got discarded from that exposure. And then the system was staying closed for the next 9 months or something.
Mhm.
So we are successful. So nobody can say, all right, you will not be successful. Yes, we can change our behaviors, we can change our demeanors, we can change our learnings, but we must continue to be grateful that we have been created as human beings who has tremendous amount of capability, and we can learn to do anything that we want to do. So we'll just look at things differently and reassign a meaning which is more positive, and so it helps the self-esteem, it helps get rid of our anxieties and anger, and most importantly, it's the guilt that sometimes we feel, why am I not happy with my father who has actually taken care of me, just because he said you'll never be successful if you keep behaving like that. That was his frustration, and I can let go. And I know that he loved me tremendously and was willing to do anything, but he was entitled to sometimes get upset. So happiness would be then okay. So that's what we do therapy. So your job, I was just explaining what therapy is all about and I got carried away. But Shahid, if your job and your hobby becomes the same thing, then you become an innovator. Then you become a creative person. Then you solve problems. Then you create happiness and joy for other people and fellow human beings. And that is why I call that happiness. Yes, it is important that we create abundance for our family, but abundance in a judicious way, which is not exploiting people or customer, whoever. We carve out a life which we can be proud of, and we are sensitive to the needs of fellow human beings. Sorry for a long answer, but that's how when
No,
you tickle me, then I just begin to flow.
no, no. Thank you very much for that. But could we touch? Could we try to touch again the significance of journey while going towards a destination? How is it related to
Absolutely.
happiness?
Gee,
Mhm.
absolutely. There is no destination. Destination is a, abstract uh, kind of a goalpost, and when we reach closer to that goal, new goals come up. It's like climbing a mountain. Of course, you climb a mountain, and then you see that there is another hill beyond the mountain, and then you climb the next one and the next one. Similarly, in life, there are no goals. Of course, goal is that I want to be any. Okay, there are material goals, and that's also important. Yes, I want my family to be comfortable. I want to contribute, and I want to feel good that my contribution is being recognized, and as recognition of that contribution, I am being rewarded in terms of money or whatever. So that part is good also. But at the same time, this is also important that we embark upon a journey of reflection, and assessment of who I am and where I am going and why am I doing this, and how would I be, what would be my legacy, how would people look at me. I don't think that, for example, I don't want to take any names, but very successful people who are remembered because they had a lot of money. I think successful people are remembered because they did great things for humanity. We probably know more about those people who created vaccines and things like that than just people who became a great businessmen.
Yep.
So contribution to community, society, fellow human beings is also important, and it's a journey. You never think that you've arrived. For example, you can embark upon being enlightened, but in the process and the journey, if you begin to think that you are enlightened. I am enlightened. I mean, I shouldn't talk about you. Uh, if I think that I'm enlightened, and then think that people around me, they're stupid and they don't know anything and they are not capable, then it's also very tragic because I am being arrogant. I think I am somebody and they are not somebody, although they are also created by the same creator. We may have had different upbringing, we may have learned differently, but that doesn't mean a fellow human being is less. We are not aware of those talents and skills that the other person is carrying. I'm only aware of mine. So the more so-called enlightened and we embark upon this journey of enlightenment, the more aware we become of our desire and our need to be humble and polite rather than arrogant and stupid. So arrogance is, for me, is stupid. That doesn't mean that we will give up on totally on being arrogant and stupid. We are human beings. But the desire is, the journey is to see to it that while you seek enlightenment, you continue to remain and resist the temptation to kind of lecture other people on what they could do differently. But we all do that anyways. But it's good to be aware and then go back and say sorry and ask for forgiveness.
Amazing. Max Babri, you are a clinical hypnotherapist. That I know.
I'm Aji. I'm a psychotherapist
Yeah.
uh, here, Pakistan, and I have trained in Sweden also, and I've completed a course which is for the externally studied people. You do a course at the Stockholm University, which enables you to go for PTP. PTP is, I think it's called psychotherapist chance practical something, which means that you work together with a therapist and then you get a license to practice in therapy. So in as far as Sweden is concerned, I when I got that qualification, I was already gainfully employed at the University of Luleå, and I was teaching multiple courses. So I did not have the financial means to give up this job and go and work with a psychotherapist to get my license, do this 1 year completion for the praktik chance, as they call it, the
Yeah.
practical thing. So I just need to do that in Sweden, so I'll be authorized in Sweden as well as a psychotherapist. But then I trained in United States of America, and I did clinical hypnotherapy, and I also obtained a license to practice in the state of California.
Hmm.
And I'm a member of the American Council of Hypnotist Examiners, and I'm also a member of the American Psychological Association. And I have taught in Pakistan the clinical psychologist for many years, and also at LUMS interpersonal skills for almost 20, 25 years. So, and
Yeah.
of course, I've been visiting faculty in Lulio, and in US also I've lectured at some universities, but that was kind of a guest speaker.
You have such a rich profile and so
Oh,
knowledgeable.
well, yes and no. I have had the opportunity of great exposure, let's put it that way.
Yeah. So
I've
if
been
I
really blessed.
Yeah. So if I may ask you, Max Babri, what are your five best learnings in life that could change anyone's else's life towards better?
It's a difficult question, and I must say, because it keeps changing. I would say that to be able to be grateful in all conditions, and that's very important, and accept that the life will end one day, and not worry about it. Accept it, and not worry about it. So but that makes it even more important, but be aware that it will happen. So please, as early as possible, put your marmalat, as we say, systems, and organize your systems, so that you don't create a mess for people who succeed you, who come after you.
Mhm.
So that's an important part. But the most important part is to be grateful all the time. Be grateful. And I'll tell you some very interesting thing. I was playing golf, and suddenly I noticed that my left eye uh, uh, began to have some kind of floaters in it. So I
Mhm.
came home and I put in some medication, so I was okay. So next morning I felt that there was a kind of a curtain moving in my left eye.
Mhm.
And then the third day, the curtain kind of moved up, and I could not see from the bottom of my eye. So fourth day, it was becoming more blind. So I went to a doctor, and he said, "You have to be operated because your retina is being detached from the
Mhm.
base of the eye." So at that moment, I was very sad because I couldn't play golf then the next day, or I couldn't drive a car because one eye is not good enough. So I came home and I was grateful to the Creator that a human being, has been granted two eyes,
Mhm.
and and thank God that I had the other eye, so I can see.
Yeah.
And I said to me that if the other eye didn't get repaired, I could live with it. I'm already 70 years of age, and I'm healthy, and I stand on my feet. How many have such privilege? And I'm at 70, I'm gainfully employed, I'm still working, I haven't kind of fully retired. So, how many have that privilege? So, I was grateful that thank God I have two eyes. And then I went for the treatment, and miracle happened because the damaged eye became, and they fixed it. The doctors here are very, very good. They fixed it, and my eye became better than before. So my left eye now is much better sight than my right eye, and that happened. So so be grateful is wonderful. And then there's a lot of other things that are connected. So I think humility, um, challenging yourself, reflection is what is it that I can do in a better way, and even better, how am I hurting somebody? Is it time for me to say sorry? Is it time for me to say forgiveness? Is it time for me to forgive myself? I think these are important things, and we can't forgive ourselves, Shahid, if we don't first forgive other people. Because if I keep saying so and so, my wife or my friend or my neighbor or my in-laws or whoever have treated me badly, and they deserve to burn in hell for 1 million years, for example. When we are very angry, that's how we talk. Then we realize that even Max Babri, Mqbool Babri, has sometimes treated people badly when he was angry or upset, or not knew the information. Uh, and then I feel, oh, terrible, yeah. If this person deserves to burn in hell for 1 million years, and I have also treated somebody badly, so I also deserve to burn in hell for at least 10 years. No,
Yeah.
that causes guilt, and that causes that I'm not good enough. Now, it's important to understand that people whom I so called hate or angry with are also created by my Creator, irrespective of what our faith is. and that person may have behaved in an inappropriate way, and we behave on the basis of what we have learned. For example, many people in Pakistan are unable to speak Swedish language,
Mhm.
and they can't speak Swedish language because they have not learned. Similarly, in Sweden, there are very few people, Swedes, who can speak Urdu.
Yeah.
So we can only do things that we have learned. So sometimes we have learned things which are not very good. And if such people are expressing themselves, it's not they who are bad. It is sadly they have learned a few things which are not good enough. So my
Mhm.
job is then that if I think that I am little more knowledgeable, then I facilitate a process of learning where they can also enjoy their life rather than remain upset, and especially as a therapist it's very helpful. So let go, forgive them. And then forgiving is also complicated. Shayad, sorry for the long answers.
No
Forgiving is
worries.
complicated because forgiving also is like assuming, is a little bit of arrogance that I know and you don't know, so I forgive you. So that's not also a good place. So forgiving, we start with forgiving, and forgiving actually means let go. And let go means I would not be bothered by somebody's behavior which was inappropriate because this person was at a bad place, and it does not reflect, and whatever this person was saying is not defining who I am. It's only defining that this person currently is at a bad place or he has learned some bad things. So let go, understand, have understanding, and then kind of have a small prayer. Every wish is a prayer actually. So have a small prayer. Okay, oh, I wish he could also be happier and he could talk to people nicely, and he or she is also able to earn more respect from people.
Mhm.
So when we have done that, then I can look at myself and say, all right, Mqbool Babri, Max Babri, you have also made mistakes. But when you made mistakes, that doesn't define who you really are. You are defined by what you want to do in the future. So a mistakes is because you are at bad place or you were angry or you had learned something wrong and you treated people badly. So that's what the reflection part is. So end of the day, we forgive ourselves. So when we forgive other people or understand or let go, our burdens that we are carrying on our shoulders as anger goes away. Because when we are angry, we say, "मैं उसको मजा चखाऊंगा, I'll get even with him." you know and then we get bogged down by that, and we cannot take the path that we deserve to tread. Similarly, if we have a lot of guilt, then we feel I'm not good enough, and of course, since I'm not good enough, the nature and the creator may not be on my side, and there is going to be some punishment, and that causes anxiety. And
Yeah.
anxiety is a major cause for disruptions in healthy growth of people. No more lecture on psychology. Let's talk about something else.
Thank you. You earlier you mentioned regarding your education and teaching in Sweden,
जी जी.
but I know that you have another very strong connection with Sweden. Would you like to talk about that?
Yes, of course. The most important teacher that have in my life is my wife,
Yeah.
and my Miss Babri, a remarkable human being. She often gets treated very badly by me, and I go back and say sorry to her
Yeah.
all the time. And if you ask her what is the most frequently used word by Max Babri, she will say, "Forgive me, I'm sorry." So, so sometimes, and she forgives me all the time, but sometimes she wonders whether if she forgives me this time, again going to do the same stupid thing. But anyways, so Maybrit came to Pakistan in 1978 to work with a Swedish NGO, which originated actually out of Gothenburg. And this was a man in Gothenburg, Professor Rodney Osberg, who
Mhm.
was into education. And actually, he came to Pakistan because packages was being created. It's good that we are recording this because this is an important documentation that I'm doing. So this is
Okay.
packages in Pakistan was created in collaboration with Okerberry and Rousing
Mhm.
and Pappersbruk, the Swedish paper factory.
Yeah.
And so Babar Ali and this family, Gad Rousing, were good friends amongst themselves. and the other rousings. Anyway, so when this factory was being made, this was a collaboration, and a lot of Swedes came to Pakistan, setting up equipment and construction and architecture and this and that. So there was this, and then of course, the Swedish state system was that if there are more than 10 school-going children at any place, then Swedish government facilitates their schooling.
Yeah.
So the lots of families were here, and the young kids were here, and of course their wives. I mean, all the professionals who were working at packages building it, their wives and their spouses became school teachers, and there was a Swedish school set up here. And Rodney Ausberg came from Gothenburg to be one of the teachers, and he realized that okay, one. He is providing this high quality education to the Swedish children, but he also noticed that outside his school there were a lot of Pakistani kids who were looking through the windows what these kids are doing, and they were not going to school, and there was no education for them. So Rodney Osberg, a very deeply committed and spiritual person, started the school for less privileged children, as we consider less privileged, who were not going to school. And that NGO grew, and it was called Parks. And then a Parks were doing three things. It has lots of schools. It has schools at Bhattas, the brick kilns, and it adopted communities. The women were doing handicrafts there, and of course those women those families who were willing to send their kids to schools and these doing handicrafts, they were also a nurse and a gynecology expert who were going and visiting and looking at the hygiene and health part for women mostly, but also men if needed. So this project was going on, and it was a very well established project. At one stage we had maybe hundreds of schools. So Maj-Britt was at that time, my wife, was working with Viunga. Viunga is a junior organization of Vuxenskolan. If the Swedish people were listening to this eventually, Vuxenskolan's junior organization, and Viunga was Karin Paresh, who's also a member of the parliament, was head of Viunga at that time, and she's from Dalarna, and she's I think currently also a member of parliament or member in the church society board. So anyways, so the Rodney Osberg, and this was funded partly by SIDA, Swedish International Development Agency. So I'm giving you a lot of history on this. I'm almost an expert on development spending by Sweden. So so Maj-Britt came as a volunteer because they were collecting money. Viunga had a school program, and they were going to school children in Sweden, and school children were donating 1 crown or 2 crowns a week or something like that to buy food for children in Pakistan, to buy juice or food. So we had a kitchen here running, and this food was made, and then food was driven out to all these schools, which are very elementary schools. And one of the attraction for parents to send children to school was they will get one meal. So this is what Maj-Britt came here to supervise this program for school lunch, because Viunga was collecting money. She applied and she was selected. So she came here, and she was about mid-20s. I was mid-20, 25, 26. So we met each other. I was member of the board here, and I was very passionate about it. And we ran with Paulo Freire's methodology. And there are a lot of people in Gothenburg who this story is similar to their story. So that's how it is. And that's how Maj-Britt and I met. And then I was at that time teaching psychology at the University of the Punjab, and having a small practice as well, consulting. And we got married. My father was still working in Pakistan Ordnance Factories, Kent. And so there was about 5-6 years left for his retirement. So I asked permission. I'm the only son of my parents, and you know how it is in Pakistan. I asked permission from my mother and father to move to Sweden for 5-6 years till they retire. So when they retired in 1985, and I came to Sweden, I went to SFE, the Swedish in Vandrare. And that was very good. I was guided to take the secretarial program, because that teaches Swedish language very well. And then once I took that program, I was able to use my knowledge I did some university courses in the evening in Staka Khurshar. So, and I assembled about 80 points from high school, from university, and then I started teaching psychology at the University of Luleå, and I became a lecturer there, adjunct faculty. And
Mhm.
so I did that for 5 years, and then my parents' father retired. So Maibit and I, we returned back to Pakistan, and so this is the story. And now we every year we have been quite blessed. Every year we can afford to travel to Sweden. We have a nice house here in Lahore, and we have a three-room flat in Umeå. So we like to spend summers in Sweden and winters here in Lahore. And since and Corona has taught us a lot of things, because most of the work has become online. So it doesn't matter whether in Pakistan or in Sweden. So
Yeah,
that's the story of how I met Maibit Babri. Maibit
great.
Wickman, her flicknaam, Maibit Wickman from Glumistresk.
Okay. Mhm.
And we have one daughter, and she is Dr. Myra Babri, and she is at the Örebro University at the business school, and she is jointly heading with two other people the business school at University of Umeå. She is well published and well quoted in different universities, and her area of expertise is supply chain ethics and values in supply chain management.
Wonderful, wonderful. Max Babri, you have been also part of Pakistan cricket team some times ago,
Yeah.
who actually won World Cup. So
Yes.
how was it?
Yes, actually, for a very long time, I'm okay. I had, after spending 5 6 years in Sweden and also teaching there and doing consulting in Sweden, and I came back to Pakistan. I realized that Pakistani business and industry could benefit and learn a lot from Sweden, especially in the area of made this time and at this team building and leadership and discussing together and negotiation with the workers unions and things like that. So when I came back to Pakistan, I was very keen to facilitate the industry because and improve quality, because technology is such an important part these days of anything that we want to do. So if you bring in technology, the quality would automatically improve. And some people thought, no, quality can be improved by incremental change rather than radical change, and that's your organization management is your area of expertise. But sorry for going into that area. But I thought so. I started working with industry in helping them to do team building, leadership, and strategic planning, because the plan was very important. Must have a plan, because there is no team if not there is no common understanding of a goal. And when they have a common understanding of a goal, then there is enthusiasm and motivation and understanding. If they feel the goal is a boss's goal and not the team's goal, then they are not motivated. People are
Yeah.
not motivated. So that's what I started doing, and that was quite successful. So I approached Pakistan cricket team that I want to do team building, leadership, and strategy of the Pakistan cricket board. That was my interest. So I wrote to them. I never had access really to the chairman and so on and so forth. But what happened was that before, and then I was doing some psychotherapy with some people, and this one person who got to chairman who got to know me through somebody, and he then called me and said, okay, the team is going to England for the World Cup, and we want you to be with the team. I said, no, I can't be with the team right now because I'm already committed for 2 weeks with LUMS, and I'm teaching a course there. And so I am available a little later. Oh, they said, okay, in that case, if please spend these 15 days with the boys, and please help them become mentally stronger. So I worked with 10, 15 days with the Pakistan team that went as a mind coach, as a psychotherapist, as a hypnotherapist. And Yunus Khan was the captain at that time, and we worked together. And of course, I hypnotized everybody individually, and then hypnotized them as a team, and then we taught them to trust and respect each other. And so my lessons to them was that cricket is a game, and since it's a game, of course there's a lot of planning in a gaming as we call it, also in industrial engineering. So please do the planning, but enjoy it. It should
Mhm.
not A game should not become a torture, and
Yeah.
every day thinking, oh, if I get out on a duck, or if I got hit by for a six, or if I drop catches, what will happen. I said, please think what is it that you would want to do, not what will happen. So that's one programming that I did. And luckily they went and they won the World Cup. But in the warm-up matches, we almost lost all the warm-up matches. And I saw the press conference. Yunus Khan was there, and he was answering questions from the British journalist. So he was asked, "But you lost all the warm-up matches. How come you're going to win the World Cup?" He said, "No, we are here to win the World Cup, and that we have decided. But warm-up matches, we are also supposed to have fun and enjoy the cricket game and not worry too much about the result. So that part is now gone, and now we have the World Cup, and we will take the World Cup home." So that was what I had programmed them in the mind. So they won the World Cup as it would happen. They came back, and Karachi they landed, and somebody asked Shoaib Malik, how come you guys were not so good a team and were not rated so well, but you still won the World Cup? And he said, "Oh, our psychologist has drilled it in our mind that you must take the World Cup home." So he told this to this journalist. So, but a lot of people in New Zealand and other places, because cricket is an international game, made a lot of fun for me because I had spoken to this Indian journalist, Bipin Dani, a very good friend of mine. And I told him, I said, "Don't worry, they'll bring the World Cup home before the World Cup." So that's what happened. And second time that I worked with the Pakistan cricket team was on a short tour. Pakistan cricket team went to India. And at that time, I went with the team to India as a mind. And we beat India, and India had invited us on a short 12-day tour to really clobber us because we were nowhere, and they had all the stars, Kohli and Virat and all those people, special people, Ishant Sharma, were great people. So, but I interacted with all of them, had great fun. But we drew the 2020 series, and we won the one-day series 2-1. So we came back with the World Cup, with the trophy from India as well. And that's also that's what I did. Help them strengthen their confidence and do their best.
Super amazing. So
yeah, I had fun. I was lucky. This great team, by the way. I may have made my contribution, but they won because they're a great team.
Yeah. So Max Babri Sahab, it was a great pleasure to talk to you and a session full of valuable learning. I cannot thank you enough that you spared time for me and for my viewers. And I'm also greatly looking forward to have the opportunity of meeting you when you come here in Sweden.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I saw that you have a beautiful car with the sunroof when you spoke to me from your car. So use that car to come to northern areas, and we will find place for you and your family to host you.
Yeah. So thank you again, Max Babri Sahab.
You're welcome. And if you have recorded this, I will really love to have a copy of this, because I think Rodney Osberg would be happy to review this, and Babar Ali Saab at Packages would be happy to review, because we talked about that. And another thing that I'm going to say here is that Packages architecture was done by Rolf Osberg, and he's a brother of Rodney Osberg, and that's how Rodney came here, and he's done wonderful architecture here. And that Rolf was also, I think, had in Gothenburg, he had a shop where clothes were sold, Pakistani clothes. And I think, although it was clothes originally from Pakistan, but it was called Indiska. If you remember, that Indiska was boutique that sold Oriental clothes. That was at one stage owned by Rolf Osberg, who's a brother of Rodney Osberg, and also the architect of Packages and Swedish Flats here in Lahore.
So I'm learning a lot about history.
Yeah. So this is interesting history, because a lot of documentation you got in this one.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Muhammad Shahid, for inviting me to your show, and for putting such questions that I could just rattle away answers. I enjoyed talking.
Yeah, it was fun. It was really fun. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care. Okay. Bye.